We walk him into the Galen Center just in time to see Michael Wilder knock down a 3 for the first points of the game. As you see, Irvine scores them.
Wilder, having played power forward most of his career, believe it or not, at 6'3" for Irvine. Now that Irvine's added some size, he can move over to the small forward position. I think it's helped him some. Better matchups, can play more on the perimeter, not have to worry about rebounding as much for this Irvine team.
So here comes an early question here, Don, how Irvine tries to defend the two big men, but there's a nice dribble inside, and Byron Wesley.
Well, I think they're going to go double the USC bigs when they get it. If they're in deep post position, they'll double and try and get it out of their hands. But really, for USC, their biggest problem has been perimeter scoring. Their guards just aren't shooting it well enough, so opposing teams can pack it in on those bigs.
How about that nice save? Omar Arabi with a save while he was falling backwards, and Eric Wise, the former UC Irvine anteater, hits his first shot.
How pumped up is he tonight? Play against his former teammates.
There's a nice feed inside, and Will Davis with the left hand off the glass.
Will Davis, the guy that missed the free throws against UCLA, stepped up there. If he'd made one, there was only 2 seconds left in the game, but I'm sure he'll bounce back from that and learn from that.
Don, wouldn't you say we saw UC Irvine a month ago with Paulie, and I think Kevin O'Neill actually referenced it with us earlier. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Turner's done a nice job with this team.
Yeah, when you watch Irvine play, you would say this team's well coached, especially on the offensive end. They execute, they run a lot of interesting stuff, and they're disciplined.
All right, there's a foul on Dedman of USC, the Trojans' first foul. USC 4 and 6. Irvine 5 and 7. Irvine has not played very many home games. Not surprising. Oh, Fontaine, nice finish, and Wilder reaches in. Irvine's Michael Wilder prevents the layup.
Well, Fontaine's third in the league in assists at just over 5. More of a scorer before he hurt his knee. He settled into more of a distributor here in the early season for USC. But as I said when we started the game, I think you're going to see his scoring pick up as we go along.
Wesley at the line here for USC. That was sort of the question. One of the things we asked Kevin O'Neill about was, if you're looking for perimeter scoring, is Fontaine a guy that could give you more? He's right now at 9 points a game.
Talented enough, but we know when you miss an entire season because of injury, especially a knee, the player is always better the second year. And unfortunately for USC, year 2 would be when he's already graduated. But I do think as this year goes along, he'll get more confident. His timing will continue to improve, and you'll start to see him score more.
Wilder with a nice flip inside. Fulker can't get a shot. And now from the baseline, Wilder knocks down his second 3.
Well, great decision by Fulker, because you look inside the paint, you see Dedman and Arabi. There's not much room in there. A lot of length, a lot of size. So dribble kick-outs and post-entries to kick-outs are probably going to be what Irvine has to do, because Arabi and Dedman are really going to protect that rim.
Well, there's a nice Arabi doubled, kicked the ball out, found the weak side 3. Eric Wise hits it.
Fulker in there sees the big body. It's Wilder always ready to catch and shoot from behind that line. Wesley doing a good job on starring here early.
Now Will Davis. Size advantage, but kicked the ball out. Off the screen, they got to switch now. Fulker's got a shorter man on him, and he just jump hooks it over Fontaine.
Well, that's the thing. If you can get Arabi in a pick-and-roll situation or a dribble handoff and they switch it and he's out on the perimeter, that's what you immediately do, is go down and take advantage of the mismatch. And Dedman and Arabi both aren't down there. I think that's when USC's rim protection is obviously really good, when they're both down there. If one of them's out on the perimeter, you got a chance to score around the rim.
Interesting thing about this matchup, Don, is both head coaches, have NBA experience.
Yep. And you see some of that terminology, what they do, how they play certain things.
Kevin O'Neill was a head coach, in fact, in the NBA. And Russell Turner spent years on the bench of the Golden State Warriors. Nice flip inside, starring, setting up Fulker.
Great find. And Fulker, one of those guys that's always moving to get himself open. He's not really going to step out and shoot a lot of jumpers, but within that painted area, he's going to move, and that time Starring found him.
Across the floor, finding an open man. Fontaine with the miss. Fontaine 33% right now as a three-point shooter.
We're inside of 16, the media timeout. It looks like SC needs that timeout. They're sucking wind, especially the big guys.
Question we asked when we were here for the Minnesota game about Arabi, how many minutes can he go?
He's only playing about 14 a game so far.
And Wesley is trying to go, but he doesn't really have anybody with him. And the ball's taken from him. That was pretty much a one-man break.
Yeah, you either got to put your head down and make a play or pull that out. He was kind of in between.
Set up out for Starring, and this is something that Kevin O'Neill feared. Irvine said they made 10 threes in their game at Pauley Pavilion, and Kevin O'Neill said they're not renowned as a three-point shooting team, but when things...
They haven't made enough shots for them to win some of these games, and as you said, a lot of them have been on the road. So I'm sure Russell Turner encouraged here early that they're making shots against a pretty good defense of USC.
And again, that was the one element they had at Pauley that brought them so close to a big win. They made 10 out of 22, nearly 50% from the three line. Timeout on a break, and Blasick got set up inside, then fights for the second chance and will go to the foul line. And that'll come after the called timeout by USC. Now the official timeout with Irvine out 6 points.
That's one way to get Dedmon, get Arabi out on the perimeter so that you can maneuver in the painted area.
What you're suggesting there for USC was that Arabi needed to do what we talk about with UCLA all the time, was hedge
and get
on
back.
The screen, right?
Hedge and get back, or let Fontaine go underneath the screen so he can stay with the ball handler. They were in no man's land, both of them, Arabi and Fontaine.
So James Blasick, in the last 2 weeks since we were here for the game with USC against Minnesota, Kevin O'Neill's begun to settle on the guys he's going to turn to first off his bench.
Well, it's all about effort with these guys. The guys that want to dig in defensively are the guys that are going to play. He doesn't care about the offensive end. He wants guys that are going to execute the game plan defensively and play with effort on every possession.
So first two off the bench for USC are Aaron Fuller and Blasick inside. Fulker missed the short one. Fontaine back with it. Of course, the name that's been absent for USC really since the first half of the Minnesota game is JT Terrell. Was supposed to be a big scorer here, but he is now he's going to see his playing time curtailed.
Well, he played 1 minute against Riverside, and that's only because it was a blowout. And he's going to have to earn it back in practice by showing the effort and giving the intensity every day.
Fuller, nice job inside to adjust, take a slight bump, and still score.
Surprised we're not seeing more ball screens from Irvine.
So Irvine has started by making 3 out of their first 4 threes. And now a late clock on the drive, and a block is called as Alex Young created off the dribble. And foul is going to be on Eric Wise as we have for you doubleheader of basketball tomorrow night on the Pac-12 networks. It'll kick off in Boulder with the Buffaloes hosting Northern Arizona. Then second game will either be from Salt Lake City or from the Key Arena in Seattle. That's where Washington State will be playing tomorrow night.
Cal State Northridge continues their tour through the Pac-12. Are they playing every single Pac-12 team this year?
Are they eligible for the postseason tournament? Alex Young at the line. You know, I heard this number, Don. I don't know if you were with me. We heard this. There's about 100 schools really in the western part of the United States out of a 340 whatever D1. And so non-conference, you know, you don't have quite the menu of options.
No, but, you know, Cost, I think, comes into some of it, too.
Exactly right.
These LA schools have the luxury of playing each other, and, it's buses, not airplanes, and hotels. Irvine didn't even come down here and shoot around today. They just came straight down for the game. So cost effective, but it's a luxury for these Southern California teams.
And there's a nice job. Blasick got denied on offense, but he hustled back on D and creates a turnover.
Wesley that time pulls it back, made the right decision, learned from his last mistake. Irvine in a 2-3 zone.
Dribbling in there was Wesley to try to create, and Wilder tracks down the loose ball.
Well, the result wasn't good, but I like the offense. A high pick, and it's a little floater for Wesley. Just shot it a little bit too strong.
Alex Young still on the floor. Chris McNeely is in the game. He's their best offense off the bench. This is Connor Clifford, a freshman, as Young missing a three. And in the game for the first time is Brendan Taylor for USC.
You can see what both coaches were talking about, Ted. Irvine started off hot early, but just no momentum, no flow from the perimeter in making shots for either team.
So we'll get to an official timeout. Russell Turner's Anteaters still up 5.
Blasick and look for a zone, and I think as this game moves on, you'll start to see both teams change how they're guarding pick and roll situations and how they're attacking, how the defenses are playing.
So now both teams into the bench a little deeper. Derek Flowers, senior guard, in for the first time for Irvine. Clifford gets it at the block. And Dwayne Dedman clears it. Ronaldo Woolridge in for the first time for USC.
Good transition defense for Irvine. Fontaine that time was really looking to push it.
Perimeter passing finally into a Robbie, turning into a bunch of blue shirts, and a bailout foul there, as it's called on Damon Starring.
Irvine doubling the post entry even though they're in a zone, which is kind of interesting. They may just be collapsing on it, but the scouting report coming in was that Irvine was going to double that post, and you see Davis come from the backside to try and double a Robbie. He didn't see it, but like you said, got lucky. He got bailed out by the foul.
Omar Arabi from Cairo, Egypt, played at Rice and admitted that he's getting used to a little higher level of basketball that he's playing now in the Pac-12, not in the conference, but just even in the non-conference schedule.
He's got good hands and good feet, and I think the sooner that USC can establish him as a post presence, the easier that their offense will become. The more minutes he can play would help, but if you have that post presence, a guy you can throw it into and get a bucket, it opens up the perimeter, makes it a lot easier for your team to score.
And finally they get McNeely free on the left wing, but the ball is out and will come back to USC.
Again, USC's defense has not been bad in stretches. It's just Kevin O'Neal wants them to play for 40 straight minutes, and that's why you're seeing a lot of the combinations, different players on the floor, because he wants 40 minutes, and the guys willing to give the effort, as we were talking about earlier, are the ones who are going to play.
Yeah, good tie up there by Irvine. Possession stays with USC on this arrow. But yeah, I mean, I think it would be fair to take from Kevin O'Neal's comments is pretty much the guys that defend are the guys that will play.
100%. And that's how it's always been here at USC under Kevin O'Neal. But a good example, and I know it was a blowout, so a couple guys played that wouldn't have, Ted. 16 guys played for USC against Riverside.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot. 19% they held him to. They had 12 points at halftime, 26 for the game. And you know, Ted, 26 points, I'm guessing 6 or 8 of that was at the very end when the game was already over, you know, in mop-up duty. They may have scored a few buckets. So tremendous effort by SC and probably a little bit of poor offense out of Riverside as well.
That's like I referenced earlier with you. And you look at the score and said, well, how USC got 70 points in the first half? That's pretty good. It's the final score.
Exactly.
And a little off the ball foul here.
It's on a Robbie.
Yeah, it's on Omar Robbie, his first.
Hasn't been a lot of fouling in this one here early. Pretty clean game.
Aaron Fuller back in for USC. So is Byron Wesley. Arabi is out. Woolridge out. Eric Wise also back in. I'd be curious to see, and maybe Fontaine. Normally when, Don, you think when teams shuttle guys in and out, they want to have one constant, right? One constant presence. It looks like Fontaine may be that guy.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's going to play the most minutes, and I think he'll tighten up the rotation once they get to conference play, but I think in these next few games they have until conference play starts, he wants to see who's earned the right to be in that rotation when it gets short.
Dedman clears for USC.
I think that guy too. I think Dedman will be a constant. He's been happy with his effort defensively and what he's given him on the defensive end.
Very nice job there. Aaron Fuller caught the ball and kept it up high. Just quickly turned and lofted it in.
Well, they have the size advantage, and I expected SC to go inside even more than they have here in the first 11 minutes of this one, but starting to impose their will a little bit.
Clifford setting up Wilder. His three off the wing. And Fontaine with the defensive board. And then leaking out Fuller for the easy two.
Great look ahead by Fontaine. Fuller trying to earn some minutes. We're talking about guys playing with effort that are going to be in the rotation. And Fuller having a really good first half.
That last play that I'm still looking to see, but Russell Turner was furious at the gentleman wearing the striped shirts, and let that be known as the timeout was called.
Yeah, I didn't see anything. I thought he was mad at the fact that Fuller got behind his defense so easily and got a layup.
All right, so Irvine's been in a dry spell. He puts Alex Young. Does Russell Turner, Alex Young back in the game? Needs somebody to knock a shot down here.
Good hedge by Dedman on that last ball screen. He really moves well for a 7-footer.
Will Davis also returning. Fulker returning. So Irvine's got 4 of their starters back on the floor with a late clock situation. And Fulker beats the buzzer on a terrific move.
That's just individual effort there, and it's a pretty good series defensively for USC, but Fulker just better offense at the end of the clock.
And a quick interior throw by Dedman. Stolen by Irvine.
Don't leave him.
And Wilder hits his third three of the half. So a timeout by Russell Turner. He was unhappy. 5 quick points by his team. And now it's Kevin O'Neal, even though we're in a timeout zone.
To go, and a big reason they were able to come back and take the lead late was Wilder getting free from behind that three-point line.
So you see there 3 threes already. And the game at Pauley Pavilion, Wilder was 6 for 9 in three-point shooting.
And a lot of those were late.
And it was his driving attempt on the final play of overtime that came up short.
Well, you got to know that the officials really got to see contact in that situation. There just wasn't enough to put them on the line to win the game.
Well, the USC leveled the game, and now Irvine has scored the last 5. Possession again.
USC doing a better job now containing the ball handler, not having to switch to create mismatches.
Off the dribble, McNeely hits.
Well, again, USC pretty good for the first 25 or so seconds of the clock, and then just breakdowns at the end of the shot clock.
That's even more frustrating, isn't it, for everybody? When you play 30 and then lose the last 5 seconds.
And you'd like to say Irvine executing against it, but they're not doing anything fancy. I mean, a lot of last couple possessions, it's just been individual offense making a play. USC actually does have a lineup out there now where they could switch a lot, except for Fontan. Again, Irvine not real big, so Eric Wise, Aaron Fuller.
So that's why you're saying that. They wouldn't sacrifice mismatches.
Right.
Nice touch pass.
Right there, though.
Yep. Boy, that's terrific interior passing by Irvine. Just didn't make the shot. They'll get a new 35.
Good decision by Fulker instead of trying to go up there and challenge Dedman. Just kick it back out, run more offense.
Boy, that was almost a set shot three that...
Ted, it wasn't almost a set shot three. It was a set shot three.
Yeah. See that in the driveway a lot.
See that from me now. I'm a set shooter now. I don't jump shoot anymore. It's all set shots. Put a lot of air under that one, too.
Yes, he did. Fontan kicking in. Wise knocks it down. So Eric Wise who's had a 44% start this year shooting threes and has knocked two down.
It's pretty simple for both teams. If they can make perimeter shots, their offense is going to become so much easier for them. And Fontan, more of a facilitator. We talked about him scoring more as the season goes along. This one, the drive and kick, finds Eric Wise, the former anteater, for three.
Defensive effort of USC, are those connected?
No, because we mentioned earlier in the game that Irvine's pretty sharp in their offensive execution. We talked about how well coached they are. I think it's just a matter of them executing, because I don't think SC's defense has been bad. There's been some breakdowns at the end of clock situations, but I wouldn't directly. Sometimes you can. I know what you're trying to say, but I think in this instance, it's more about Irvine just being sharp with the ball.
Starring back in. Boy, nice play. Designed right out of the timeout.
Nice decision to go to the runner, too, instead of trying to get all the way to the rim. It was a short runner, but it was a runner nonetheless.
Blasick back in now for USC. Both Dedman and Arabia. Boy, look at a soaring try there by Brendan Taylor.
It's a good shot. Again, I know we keep talking about it, but its ability to make perimeter shots. And USC has just struggled in that department. 33% on the season from the three-point line. It's not bad, but it just seems like they never make the timely ones.
Well, there's a little glimpse of Gio Fontan. Good left side drive. His first points.
I'm telling you, before he hurt his knee, we saw a lot of those a game, not just one or two. Lightning quick.
Starring with a pull-up. Cleared by Wesley. And Fontan trying to get up top for Blasick.
Yeah, not a good decision.
Well, that's nice. Wilder, you saw quickly Wise was out. He's been out there to make sure Wilder didn't shoot that ball, and Wilder just calmly sees Fulker.
Well, I was getting ready to say, why did Wilder pass up that three? And I didn't see Fulker standing underneath the rim all by himself.
All right, Blasick had a good look there. So Irvine is out 6 with the ball. And there's the biggest lead for the Anteaters, and Kevin O'Neill will take another timeout. Starring hits his second three. Irvine has made 5 long balls in the first half and a 9-point lead.
And from Kevin O'Neill.
Damon Starring, 12.5 a game. He's the leading scorer for Irvine. There he has his first half numbers. He had a good all-around game at Pauley. He only had 9 points, but he had 10 rebounds and 6 assists.
Well, they have to gain rebound. We've talked about how they aren't very big, so all 5 have to get to that defensive board.
Wayne Dedman back in. Now Wise playing back to the basket, steps back. And now Irvine can open up a double-digit lead.
Important 2:30 for USC to close this half, I think. Not just in terms of what the score is, but how they finish the half.
And on the roll, Will Davis finishes.
Great slip by Davis. Didn't set, just rolled right to the basket. Good catch and finish.
So the first double-digit lead of the night. And Taylor answers with a much-needed three.
They needed that. Big three from Taylor.
Third made three tonight by the Trojans. 5 so far for Irvine. And that ball goes out off the Anteaters.
Will Davis slipping the screen, and Irvine has been real sharp offensively. Davis puts it in. Irvine up. Robbie haven't had an impact at the rim like I thought they would, but give Irvine credit. They run good offense. They run sharp cuts. They're good with the ball, and they've executed here in this first half.
Russell Turner coached under some real good ones. Dave Odom at Wake Forest for quite a while, then Mike Montgomery at Stanford, and then went to the Golden State Warriors and worked under both Montgomery and Don Nelson there.
Well, you mentioned it earlier. Both these coaches have NBA influence, and you see it in a lot of the stuff that they do.
All right, not sure what the okay, we have a clock question coming up. Look at Irvine so far, Don, has shot 15 two-pointers and 13 three-pointers.
But made 5 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they shoot a lot of threes. They just haven't had consistent success from behind the line here in the non-conference season. But we've said it already a couple times. The reason, their defense has been constant. They're making shots tonight. Guess what? They got the lead.
First appearance by Chaz Bryan, so Kevin O'Neill giving Fontaine his first break of the night. Trying to beat the clock is Wise. Rebound to Fulker and Irvine.
Fulker doing a great job of keeping Dedmon off the offensive board, something that Dwayne Dedmon's very good at. He's third in the league in total offensive rebounds so far here this season.
So in the final minute of the half, Starring, good job, lost the man with a left move to his strong side, the left.
Good fake, gets himself wide open. And Irvine staying with this zone. They think USC can make enough perimeter shots to beat them. One of those things where you try it, and if it keeps working, you stay with it.
Runner there and a foul on the floor, so that will be only the 4th foul of the half on Irvine, so no shot. USC will have a chance.
You would think
to get the last shot of the half.
Yeah, you would think that they would hold it for the last shot of the half here.
Yeah, see, everybody thought, Eric Wise thought he was going to shoot fouls. That's only the 4th team foul. Now Blasick comes in for Dedmon on this offensive switch by Kevin O'Neill. He's going to try to get, he tried to get Fontaine back in time. And Kevin O'Neill just took a timeout.
No, Blasick.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me, a foul. I'm sorry.
Blasick cleared somebody out down there on the baseline, and so instead of getting the last shot, maybe hitting a shot, getting some momentum going into halftime, now you give Irvine a chance to extend their already double-digit lead.
I was watching. They were trying to run and get Gio Fontaine back in the game for that offensive possession, and Gio Fontaine did not get to the table quite in time. So now Irvine should get the last. McNeely. And a little finger roll down the lane by McNeely to end a strong first 20 by UC Irvine.
That's the recognition I was talking about earlier. He got Blasick on him. He knew the clock was running down. So, we thought that they would pound or try and pound UC Irvine inside with these two big guys, but Just hasn't happened yet.
Was stunned when I looked at the stat sheet. 22 minutes combined, Arabi and Dedmon, and one shot. One.
Well, in Irvine, doubles the post. And I think that was part of it. But I think they have to get these two guys going if they're going to win this game.
And Davis trying to position for a shot with the left, didn't get there. And meanwhile, going to the right is Alex Young to up Irvine's lead.
Really good pull-up by Young, because USC was in position to get the offensive foul. Young pulls up instead of continuing on to the rim. It's the little floater.
Fontan and Wesley played most of the half as the guards for USC. They both played 18 minutes. The rotation was generally in the front court. Now Arabi gets the ball inside. And Don, here's what I would say. If I'm Russell Turner, I'd look at the stat sheet and say, those two big guys shot the ball once in 22 minutes. I win.
Yeah, and that's why they played zone. I think he tried zone to see what it would do, and because it was keeping the ball out of Arabi and Dedmon's hands, I think he stayed with it. So I would expect, unless USC adjusts somehow, to see a lot of that 2-3 zone from UC Irvine.
Well, UC Irvine, we really framed this at the beginning, and this is a cred night for them. They've played a lot of tough schools. They've played well. They haven't got one of those big wins yet. We get a foul on Starring here at Irvine.
Good job by Dedmon digging out that offensive rebound off the missed free throw. Gets himself an extra possession, and I think that's how USC is going to have to win. If they're going to win this game, that's how it's going to have to be. Grind it out, extra possessions. I don't think Irvine's going to let them get out in transition and go up and down on them. But also, as we've talked about, they got to make some shots.
Nice feed. Arabi's first shot of the night, the best kind.
All set up by the penetration of Wesley.
Wilder, weak side three. And on the rebound fight, that's going against Irvine. Foul on Folker.
Wesley down the heart. Folker on the help. Leaves Arabi wide open for the easy dunk.
Well, Irvine only committed 4 fouls the entire first half. They have 3 fouls in the first 90 seconds.
Penetration of USC. For that high-low action with Dedmon and Arabi.
Now it's frustrating Wesley for the second trip down there. Terrific job setting up Arabi. And then Eric Wise back to spike Starring's try transition.
Wise does a lot of things well, and as a senior knows how to play. Or goes up and contests Starring. Irvine retains possession.
Nice play by Irvine, and Will Davis sneaks in on the rebound, and they get a second try.
Just shouldn't happen with the size of USC, with Dedmon and Arabi, a missed shot. One of those two should be able to secure the defensive rebound.
There's Wilder running up the right side, and that three rattled out. And this time the loose ball rebound will go out and come back into the Trojans.
Again, if USC is going to come back and win this game, they cannot afford to give Irvine extra possessions. And Irvine's going to the offensive board.
Dedmon, a couple of bounces, kicked it out. Well, Wesley is taking a little lead, a little more aggression here.
Irvine's back to their man-to-man, and I think Wesley feels like he can take Starring off the dribble whenever he wants.
Boy, good fight for the loose ball. And Young to Davis.
I just said it. You cannot give Irvine extra possessions, and that's what they did. Irvine makes them pay for it.
And I thought that was nicely done by the officials there, and that was two men going for a loose ball. Each had a right to get them. And Denman facing hits his first shot.
He can do that. He can hit that 15, 17-foot jumper. Doesn't shoot a lot of them, but he can do it.
Now the game here 11 days ago now against Minnesota, this is what the Trojans faced as Starring knocks down a three. Don, they could never get anything going in the second half of that game. They couldn't string possessions together, USC, to make a run. I got a very good team, by the way.
They got a Robbie going on the offensive end, but just could not get enough stops in a row to cut the lead down far enough.
So you feel like they're fighting the same battle right here. They're trying to string this together, get a little run going.
Yeah, but then you leave Starring wide open in the corner. Just can't happen. Starring and Wilder, you have to get to them behind the line.
Late clock, Fontaine. The drive and the kick. And a miss by Wesley, and the rebound all Irvine.
Wilder, such a good rebound for a guy his size. Mentioned in the first half, played power forward for most of his career at Irvine. So he obviously strong and can fight down there for rebounds.
Nice feed inside. Oh, and Davis went up and missed the dunk, but sets up Wilder. Ooh, that could have been a real dagger shot for USC if Wilder knocked that down.
Well, that was a couple could have been. Davis, if he completed that dunk.
Yeah, how about that? Well, that's a nice saving turnaround for USC.
Irvine digging out extra possessions. What does it lead to? Alley-oops on the backside. Irvine.
The Christmas season, it ends up at Pauley Pavilion with UCLA, and there's also an interesting game. Oregon State will play San Diego, and that game's at the MGM Arena in Las Vegas. It's part of a weekend of basketball that's testing the venue, which will host the Pac-12 championships.
You'll be there, right?
Saturday will be. We'll all be there in March. It's going to be intriguing, the first time.
Looking forward to it. Three-point play cuts it to under 10. Let's see if SC's defense, as we were just talking about, can string together a couple stops here.
That last 10 seconds was a 6-point swing. Wilder had a baseline good look three. Missed, and Robbie comes back with a 3-point play.
JT Terrell in for the first time tonight.
Chaz Bryant also in. That's right, Terrell in. So it's the dilemma that we thought Kevin O'Neill would face at some point is, at some point, you have to have somebody that can score the ball for you.
But he can score. You know, he hasn't been happy with his effort on the defensive end, but you need some points right now.
In the little floater by Wise doesn't go. And that's unfortunate because Dedman should have been rewarded there. A nice defensive play. And there's a Robbie rejecting Starring.
Starring took off from too far away. You're in the air too long. You're showing the ball for too long. You got to either go and try and get to the chest of a Robbie or pull up on that one.
And outside, Irvine continuing to fire. Irvine has now shot 19 threes in this game. Almost 50% of their shots, just shy of a half their shots have been threes.
Seemed like all of them were going down in the first half. And this half, Starring knocked one down, but that's been it.
Now, one glimmer for USC here is they can narrow the lead. That's 5 team fouls on Irvine, and they have none yet on the Trojans.
Well, the bad news for USC is they're only a 69% foul shooting team. So even if you get into the bonus, can you step up and knock enough of them down?
All right, Gio Fontaine got a quick breather, and now he's back out. But Don, I was saying, you playing as long as you did at UCLA and then in the NBA, you can understand where coaches get stuck in these dilemmas. You want to reward defense, right? But at some point, you do need to score.
Yeah, and I think you see how it goes. Maybe a guy that has earned the right to play because of his defense gets it going. But I think Kevin O'Neill couldn't wait any longer. He needs to try Terrell. Maybe he can get something going on the offensive end. And as we talked about, he sat him. He's started every game this year until last game. Didn't play it. Well, played 1 minute in mop-up time. But let's see if it motivates him. See if he can not only come off the bench and score some, but maybe he'll give a little more effort defensively. Almost kind of like he's learned his lesson.
So Irvine's gone cold here. A lot of threes early in the second half.
And I think the SC defense has been better in the second half. They played a little bit of zone, trying to confuse Irvine a little bit.
Fontaine setting up Dedmon, who just couldn't secure it.
I'd rather see Fontaine to shoot the runner there himself.
McNeely in off the bench for UC Irvine.
Although a play Dedmon should probably finish, right? I mean, he's got the length and he's a good enough jumper.
And Starring knocks down the three. 16 now for Damon Starring. His fourth three.
Not to pick on him, but who was guarding Starring on that possession? JT Terrell.
Eric Wise lobbing it in. And Arabi's able to finish.
You see the hands on Arabi. That was a tough catch in traffic, and not only a tough catch, but the ability to come down, keep it up, and still finish it. Nice play.
And so far in this early part of the second half, USC is doing as they did against Minnesota. They're getting Arabi some touches inside.
Obviously talked about at halftime by the coaching staff.
It's a turnover. Starring losing the dribble on the baseline.
Irvine's got to get the ball in the hands of Starring and let him do it. He's seemingly got it going now. Not that he needs to shoot it every time, but let him run the offense.
Fuller back in and Wesley both in the game for USC. There's Wesley, decided to get very aggressive with the ball, starting to create some things, and he'll get to the foul line when we come back. Under 12 timeout with Irvine up 10.
So it makes sense that you try and get the ball to him.
And I think, again, as you work towards conference season, this is a little bit of the question, is how many minutes in a row? How much can Arabi play?
Well, he's got to work on his conditioning, because there's some other big boys in this conference that he's going to have to play. The matchups make sense. So use this next couple weeks to get yourself in the condition you need to be to play bigger chunks of minutes.
I mean, he's got to play 30 minutes a game, right? I mean, he has to be able to play 30.
Well, he's good enough to warrant 30 minutes a game, I think. And we're not coaching the team, but, I mean, based on what I'm seeing, he could be really effective as an offensive weapon. And we talked about in the first half, if you have that guy down there in the paint, it eases the burden on your perimeter guys.
All right, Terrell got close on the defense there and is called. That's the first foul of the half against USC.
USC already in the bonus. Next one on Irvine. They're shooting 1-1.
Michael Wilder had been out the last sequence for Irvine. He's returned. Clifford is in and can't catch the entry there. Clifford fighting with Blosick of USC for that
Couldn't tell
spot.
Did Blosick do the old pull the chair out from under him move? Did an NBA move on him?
I like that.
USC certainly getting more stops this half. Do they have enough offense to come all the way back?
And the ball stolen. Fontaine was holding it out there. And it was a combination of Wilder and Flowers.
Flowers just raked it right out of his hands. Irvine moves the ball so well, and one of the few turnovers of the night.
Baseline three, Terrell rattled out, but look at the nice takedown by Blosick. Now Fontaine had stepped out of bounds. In his retreat step, he had hit the sideline.
Well, Blosik's effort gets you an extra possession, and then you turn it over by stepping out of bounds. And USC offense just can't find a rhythm. If it's not one thing, it's another. Missed shots, you step out of bounds, turnovers.
Starring with the setback, and McNeely's shot rimmed. Nice feed. Fontaine to Blossom.
Quick offense for USC. Get it down. That's one way to shoot layups instead of relying on perimeter jumpers and post-ups. Run the floor. Get yourself a layup. Nice job by Blossom.
So we go under 10. USC was in danger of having a bigger deficit. They just kind of clipped a few points off, down to 7.
Fontaine recognizing Blossom, and the alley-oop layup. Nice job by Blossom. Not a lot of lift on that one, but 2 points nonetheless.
Love you point that out.
That's what my alley-oops look like when I played.
Nice give back. No, wiped out. Folker's called for a charge.
A smart play by Wesley. It's almost like he knew that was coming. He was there waiting for Folker for a second. Watch this. No, he wasn't there that early. I thought he was standing there for an extra second, but a good play nonetheless.
And at the other end, USC trying to hurry up and get the ball down, and it's a charging foul called on Aaron Fuller. USC tried to pick up the pace a bit here.
Right. You want to make good decisions, but I don't mind the aggressiveness. And, you know, Folker returning the favor from their last offensive possession.
So here's this little swing point in the game. USC has been down. It's been 8-12 most of this half. Now they have it to 7. Can they keep clipping a point or two off here? Second foul on Terrell, third team.
Well, for me, can they generate enough offense?
Yes. Both coaches were talking about that with us tonight. Can we score enough?
They're getting stops, but can they score enough? All the way back. They've gotten back in the game. It's only a 3-possession game. But do they have enough to get the stops and make enough buckets?
And there they ran out and got in Wilder's face a little bit, harassed the 3, and it misfired badly.
Irvine still in the 2-3. USC trying to enter the foul line. Aaron Fuller.
There's a nice one. Robbie back in the game, pulled the rebound down and lost it. As we said, that's the kind of shot right there that USC. I mean, to get Fontaine to knock down a 3 like that, that would be a big thing for them.
Exactly what I've been talking about all night. You run pretty good offense. You get a wide open look. You're down 7. You're kind of making a run. You make that. The crowd may come up and just can't make that important one. Because 33% as a team isn't bad. You know, it's not good or great, but it's not bad. But they just seem to not be able to make the ones that really matter, that turn games, get you back in games.
Late clock, Starring. Nice move. The left-hander goes right and then pulls up.
He's a nice player, yes. Starring. He is going to be a factor in the Big West this year.
Deep 3. And the long rebound, Starring winning the fight for the ball.
Well, Irvine's been running a lot of clock, and I don't expect that to change. Up 9 with 8 minutes to go.
Wilder. So Wilder's firing away now. He's gone cold in the second half.
I don't think SC has anybody that can check Starring. I said it earlier. I put the ball in his hands and let him make plays.
There's the double down on Arabi, and they're going to get McNeely reaching in on the foul.
Starring can catch and shoot from behind the three-point line. He can also put it on the deck. He goes right, pulls up left, foul line jumper. Irvine up 9.
Offensive night. He's playing much more like a leading scorer tonight.
Only had 9 points in that one, and Wilder kind of took over late. But He's a very good player. I've mentioned a couple times he's had 2 25-point games already this year, and on his way to another one.
From Las Vegas, starring a senior, and that's Arabi at the line here for USC with a 1-and-1 out of the timeout. And the other issue for Irvine, they've only made 2 of 10 threes so far in the second half. Wilder has missed all 5.
Well, we'll see as this game develops down the stretch here, but how many they actually shoot, how many more they shoot, it's a big part of what they do, but they have a lead, and dribble penetration's been working for them as well. Has been working for him in this second half. The 3-ball hasn't been going for him.
G.L. Fontaine's out right now for USC. Chaz Bryant on the floor. Starring, saw the big man on him. And then a foul as Wilder falls on his move left, and Terrell picks up his 3rd.
I think Terrell really trying to show Coach Kevin O'Neill that he wants to guard people to earn back his playing time and being a little overzealous.
So again, the switch. This time, Starring shoots over Arabi. Doesn't take it at him, and Starring has 20.
He's really got it going here tonight. Tough guard. That's what seniors do on the road, right? Step up, make shots.
And is that going to force USC to think about how do you want to play that screen? Arabi catching inside. Well, he's having a second half with points. He has 12 points now, 11 of them in the second.
Good find by Bryant, but you can't afford to trade baskets. As we've been saying, they got to string together 3-4 stops and then have 3-4 good possessions of offense.
So there again, Don, they just isolate Starring on the right side of the floor. They're going to set a ball screen and force USC to decide. Is that what the play is?
The most important thing is have it in Starring's hands,
yes.
And then it's up to him to read what the USC defense does off the screen roll or off the dribble handoff.
15 foul now on USC.
Got Fontaine on him now.
On the air there was Young with an awkward shot, and now the whistle goes against Irvine.
That'll be USC free throws.
Yes, it will. It's on Will Davis. And that's his 4th. So Will Davis, one of Irvine's starters, second tallest at 6'8", picks up his 4th. The only free throws in the game for Irvine were Alex Young in the first half. And that's the 9th team foul on Irvine. They couldn't get any closer.
Well, they can get it to 7 here again with 2 made foul shots. Feel like they have Irvine under control from a defensive standpoint, except for Starring. So if you can key on him and continue to get stops, you got a chance. Plenty of time.
First point tonight by Bryan. And if you're USC, this is what you want. You know that Irvine's challenge is to finish a game like this, and so you want to put a little squeeze on them.
Well, they have seniors, and that's not going to win you games right there. Trying to make a comeback, wide open layup from the opposing team's center, running straight down the middle of the court.
So from the hope of having a 7-point game, it's back to 10.
And that zone for Irvine has been pretty effective.
And there Terrell makes the shot. That's Kevin O'Neill sticking with him here. He's giving him a chance to play. And Terrell knocks down his first shot.
He can score. He proved it. Early in the season, shot selection a bit of a challenge for Terrell, but a willing scorer, and if he gets it going, can score in bunches.
Coming outside right, Alex Young knocks down the 3. And there's the
answer for Irvine.
All right, so a timeout called, 5.5.
But if you're USC and you're trying to make a run, that just can't happen. Way too easy, but give Fulker credit for hustling down the court.
Adam Folker, a senior from Ontario, the province of Ontario, and he was voted and won the Best Hustle Award in the Big West Conference last year. That's how you do it, plays like that.
I have a feeling he may repeat this year.
All right, USC staying with Fontan, Bryan, and Terrell. Eric Wise back in the game. Dedman also, and that pass hits Bryan last, out of bounds, turnover.
Again, Irvine pretty active in this 2-3 zone, and it's given SC some problems. But somewhat of an unforced error there for USC.
There's Starring running out the left, got the screen from Folker. Good setup there, he had a wide open look.
It was a wide open look. Missed any of those tonight.
Nice move in there, and Eric Wise came flying in at the end to get that rebound and gets 2 foul shots.
Well, USC is going to have to start forcing the issue here a little bit. It's gotten late, 4:43 to go, down 10. And with their, I don't want to say inability, but they're having a hard time scoring, USC, that's a bigger lead than most 10s. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you're going to have to really start pushing it down the court, looking for opportunities early in the shot clock.
The one thing USC has been able to do is this. They've been able to get to the foul line, which obviously stops the clock. Irvine has had to score. They've only made, Irvine's been to the line twice tonight.
Well, they've been in the bonus for a while, too, USC.
Daly with the kick out of top while they're missing. Hasn't made a 3 in the second half.
They've done a good job of contesting him this entire second half.
Fontan tried to dish it again, and he gets a break. Irvine can't grab the loose ball.
I'd like to see
That's
Fontan
another one. I'm with you on that one.
Pull up.
Yep.
Pull up. He's off of one leg, and he looks like he wants to shoot it, and then he wants, to get rid of it before he comes down. Just pull up off of 2. And now you have the pass or the shot on balance.
Well, here's a chance if USC can score on this trip here. This would be the closest they've been in the entire second half. Shot by Terrell. And there it is. USC knocks it to 5.
A good play design by USC. They get it to Dedman on that short corner, and he just sees over the top of the zone, goes to the top to Terrell.
And Damon Starring going to do something only the second time tonight, and Irvine Anteater's going to get to the foul line.
Dump it down to Dedman in the short corner. Terrell spotting up, just waiting for this pass. Knocks it down, USC within 5. About 2 weeks away from that.
Yep. 2 weeks from tonight here, the Los Angeles schools will start at home hosting the Bay Area schools the first weekend. First conference game will be the 2nd of January, Utah at Arizona State.
2 much improved teams in the conference, at least based on what they've done in the non-conference schedule. Arizona State playing differently with arguably the best freshman in the conference, Jahi Carson, looking to run more, and Utah's got more wins already than they had all last season.
Larry Krystkowiak in his second year is starting that program back on the right track. All right, first foul shots of the second half for Irvine, and they get the lead back to 7.
See if USC goes back to that play they just did, spotting up Terrell, opposite side. There's Dedman, there's the kick out, extra pass.
Fontan found Wesley, who was cutting inside, and he missed the little floater, but gets a second try. And then Dedman tips it, and it goes out of bounds off Wilder of Irvine.
Folker for Irvine trying to tip it to himself. He's got to go up there with 2 and bring that thing down, but give SC credit for getting another possession.
And Irvine Will Davis is still not in the game. He's got 4 fouls, and there's a baseline drive by Wesley. He's been the most aggressive guy in that regard tonight, hasn't he, for USC?
How was he able to slip by on the baseline, still keep his balance enough to finish that play? But all set up by the extra possession they got by getting on the offensive glass.
And that score by Wesley, again, narrows the lead to 5. This is the closest USC has been in the second half.
Wilder or Starring? Who's it going to be for Irvine?
Starring against Fontaine. Going to go late clock. Gets the ball screen. Dedmon does a nice job to cut him off. Wilder, great dish to Fulker. What a play by Michael Wilder.
How about the poise of the senior Wilder, knowing the shot clock's about to go off any second, has the poise to dump it off to Fulker. Nice play.
And a steal by Young. And from behind, Terrell with a hustle play, but Young cracks the ball.
Well, it looked like Young was going to go in and try and make a play for himself. Russell Turner was screaming at him to back it out. You got a 7-point lead this late. No need to go in there and try and score that early.
USC has 3 1-and-1 fouls to give when they choose to do so, if they choose. There's 16 fouls, so they can foul 3 times and put Irvine into the 1-and-1. Fulker contested inside, and the shot clock runs out.
Well, you got time if you're USC. As I mentioned a couple minutes ago, can't burn a lot of this clock. And at what point do you start fouling?
And Will Davis, now one of the reasons he would not be on the floor, he's not a good foul shooter, and the other one is Fulker. Fulker, just a 25% foul shooter. Kevin O'Neill would certainly know that. And Eric Wise can't get it to go, and Wilder with a rebound.
They're going to go get him right now, it looks like. Oh, he's saying without fouling.
Yeah. And they're flashing in front was Fontaine for a steal. Didn't get it. Starring kicks it out. And Irvine passing up shots to run clock.
Tell you what, though, I think Wilder should have shot that one.
Young is in trouble, and he got the foul call on Arabi. Well, there Young was in trouble, and he got bailed out.
Well, and that's 2 shots. As you said earlier, he'd be 1-and-1, but with the ball fake, Young gets Arabi in the air and gets the foul for 2 shots.
And the one thing that happened that entire possession, Don, Adam Fulker was nowhere near the ball.
Yeah, I don't think the ball is going to be out of any of these guards' hands for too long.
Well, Young misses both, and that keeps USC's hopes alive. Big misses. Fontaine. His outlet pass is stolen by McNeely.
That's 2 turnovers in a row on passes by USC.
And again, Irvine now just trying to run clock.
Well,
foul shots really hurt them.
Yep, Irvine missing free throws cost them the game against UCLA. Little different scenario here, but got to figure they're going to have to make some.
Well, this is an interesting decision by Kevin O'Neill. He is not fouling.
I wouldn't even. If you're Irvine, you don't even need to go here.
No. Starring Will, and USC 20 seconds. And Terrell with the ball rebounded by McNeely, goes to the floor without giving it up, and that's a travel.
Well, I think that'll do it.
So 15-9 to go, but I think, again, the intriguing part of these last couple of minutes is that USC has not forced Irvine to make foul shots.
Well, I think they, by turning it over a couple times, I felt like they weren't going to win the game anyway. But give Irvine credit. They were very good in the first half. Starring was terrific all night. This is a veteran Irvine group. They did enough defensively, and we talked about it to start the game. When they make threes and make shots, they're pretty good. Well, guess what? They made shots tonight.